India's voice to the world. I'm Tanvi Taneja. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. India is emerging as a major maritime power in the world, says Prime Minister Narendra Modi, as he commissions 3 frontline naval combatants in Mumbai. South Korea's impeached President Yoon exercises his right to silence in the martial law probe. And Qatar says Gaza Ceasefire deal is in final stages as hostages' family is caught between hope and despair. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi dedicated 3 frontline naval combatants, INS Surat, INS Nilgiri and INS Vaghshir, to the nation on their commissioning at the Naval Dockyard in Mumbai today. The commissioning of 3 major naval combatants marks a significant leap forward in realizing India's vision of becoming a global leader in defence manufacturing and maritime security. INS Surat, the 4th and final ship of P-15B guided missile destroyer project, ranks among the largest and most sophisticated destroyers in the world. It has an indigenous content of 75% and is equipped with state-of-the-art weapon sensor packages and advanced network-centric capabilities. INS Nilgiri, the first ship of the P-17A Stealth Frigate project, has been designed by Indian Navy's Warship Design Bureau and incorporates advanced features for enhanced survivability, seakeeping and stealth, reflecting the next generation of indigenous frigates. INS Vaghshir, the 6th and final submarine of the P-75 Scorpene project, represents India's growing expertise in submarine construction and has been constructed in collaboration with the Naval Group of France. Speaking on the occasion, Prime Minister Narendra Modi termed it as a very big day for India's maritime heritage, the glorious history of the Navy and the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. Prime Minister Modi also congratulated all those involved in building of these made in India naval combatants.
भारत विस्तारवाद नहीं, भारत विकासवाद की भावना से काम करता है। भारत ने हमेशा ओपन, सिक्योर, इंक्लूसिव और प्रॉस्परस इंडो पैसिफिक रीजन का समर्थन किया है। इसलिए जब समुद्र से सटे देशों के विकास की बात आई तो भारत ने मंत्र दिया सागर। सागर का मतलब है सिक्योरिटी एंड ग्रोथ फॉर ऑल in the region.
As Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in Maharashtra, he will also inaugurate Asia's 2nd largest ISKCON temple being built in Kharghar, Navi Mumbai in a short while from now. DD India's Shishir Shelar tells us what makes this ISKCON temple in Navi Mumbai special.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate Asia's 2nd largest ISKCON temple on Wednesday. This temple is built in Kharghar, Navi Mumbai. The International Society for Krishna Consciousness, an organization that propagates the Bhagavad Gita, has built this temple. This temple is spread over 9 acres. The temple has been constructed entirely of white and brown marble stones. In the hall of this temple, pictures of Lord Krishna have been used using 3D techniques. This temple dedicated to Lord Krishna has been named Sri Sri Radha Madan Mohan. The temple also features amenities including a guest house, a restaurant, a yoga and Ayurveda center, a gym and a library. A major attraction within the temple premises is a 1,008-seater cultural center and auditorium designed to host performances, spiritual discourses and Vedic teachings.
Within this premise, we have one center that consists of, the big temple over here of Radha Shri Radha Madan Mohan Ji, Darbar of Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman, Shri Gaur Nitai, and then we have the Dashavatara temple, and apart from that we have a building where we have a Vedic college, the free of cost education we are providing, and then we are providing a Brahmachari ashram, then Brahmacharini ashram, then we have a Sannyas ashram, and the wonderful Srila Prabhupada in the founder Acharya's memorial over here.
While talking about the recent attack on ISKCON temple in Bangladesh, Kharghar ISKCON temple trustee and president Dr. Surdas Prabhu said that he condemns the cowardly attack on the ISKCON temple in Bangladesh. He also supported the policies of Indian government regarding Bangladesh.
The purpose of this center is also to make people happy by giving them the diversified Vedic culture like Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, and other scriptures like Upanishad, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and other things are also taught. We like to pray to the Supreme Lord, let the Bangladeshis become, wonderful devotees. In fact, I just want to tell you very clearly, Bangladesh recently was on the top, export-oriented country. But now everything has declined. Why it is declining? Because they have not understood the mercy of brotherhood.
Devotees are happy with this ISKCON temple built in Navi Mumbai. Many residents of Navi Mumbai expressed their desire for an ISKCON temple and a cultural space in their city. Shishir Selar's report for DD India.
India leads the epitome of resilience among the leading economies despite the challenging global environment. The PhD CCI report on India's growth story shows continuous growth with GDP to surpass $4 trillion in 2025. India will also become the fourth largest economy by 2026, supported by robust economic fundamentals and dynamic business environment. An analysis conducted by the PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry in a report on New Year Economics, PhD CCI Economic Outlook 2025 projects that India will be the most resilient economy among the top 10 leading economies in the next 3 years. The analysis is based on leading macroeconomic indicators, including growth of the GDP, exports, savings, investments, and debt to GDP ratio. India is celebrating its Army Day today to honour the armed forces and their immense sacrifices for the country. President Draupadi Murmu greeted army personnel and veterans on the occasion. Sharing a post on X, she wrote, and I quote her, "On Army Day, I extend my greetings to the Indian Army personnel, veterans and their families. Your unwavering commitment to safeguarding the sovereignty of the nation and ensuring national security is an inspiration for all. The nation remembers with gratitude the countless sacrifices you've made in service of the motherland. Your humanitarian work during crises and disasters is a testament to your kindness and compassion. May your extraordinary valor and courage continue to inspire generations to come." Unquote. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also lauded the Indian Army for its determination, professionalism and dedication, and underlying the government's commitment to the welfare of armed forces and their families. The day is observed to commemorate General K.M. Cariappa, who later became Field Marshal, taking over the command of the Indian Army from General F.R.R. Boucher, the last British Commander-in-Chief in 1949, becoming the first Indian Commander-in-Chief of independent India. The Army Day parade this year is being held in Western India's Pune. At the Army Day celebrations, Chief of Army Staff General Upendra Dwivedi presented the Sena Medal to honour the bravery and supreme sacrifice of soldiers. The Army Chief emphasised that while the situation along the northern border remains sensitive, it is stable. The Army Chief also extended his gratitude to the Navy and Air Force, acknowledging the coordination between the tri-services.
और भारतीय वायुसेना के बहुमूल्य प्रयासों और योगदान के प्रति आभार प्रकट करना चाहता हूं, जिन्होंने सदैव हमारे संचालन एवं प्रशिक्षण के दौरान सहायता की। मुझे विश्वास है कि तीनों सेनाएं देश के प्रत्येक नागरिक के साथ मिलकर राष्ट्र के सामने आने वाली किसी भी चुनौती का मुकाबला करके देश के लिए हमेशा जीत हासिल करेंगे।
A band contingent from Nepal also participated in the parade this year, symbolizing the historic and brotherly ties between the two countries. And next, all the news from the Maha Kumbh, the largest religious congregation in the world. Maha Kumbh 2025 in Prayagraj is poised to be a monumental spiritual event, drawing over 450 million devotees from around the world. On January 14th, nearly 35 million devotees gathered at the Triveni Sangam in Prayagraj for the first Amrit Snan of the Maha Kumbh Mela 2025, coinciding with the festival of Makar Sankranti. The sacred gathering showcases centuries-old traditions and cultural grandeur. With cutting-edge technology, advanced safety measures and extensive planning, it promises a secure and transformative experience for pilgrims.
Devotion is visible at every corner of the holy land of Prayagraj. Elaborate security arrangements, including water ambulance, water police station, underwater drones, and all the other necessary arrangements were made for the devotees and pilgrims who came here to take holy dip in this confluence of this mega event. There is a massive influx of people who are coming here to witness the grandeur of Maha Kumbh 2025. Arrangements have been put in place to make sure that everything goes in a very smooth line manner, from fire department to NDRF to SDRF. Every department has made sure that this largest congregation, the largest religious congregation on earth, remains peaceful, safe and secure. Maha Kumbh continues to be the epicenter of spirituality and a platform of faith and cultural exchange. Around 450 to 500 million people are expected to come in this mega event. People from all over the world are also coming and participating in this mega event. With camera person Rakesh Kumar, this is Siddharth Bharadwaj reporting for DD India in Prayagraj.
The sanitation workers in Maha Kumbh 2025 are playing a pivotal role in maintaining cleanliness at the Triveni Sangam. Here's DD India's Siddharth Bharadwaj's special report.
In Uttar Pradesh's Prayagraj, Maha Kumbh 2025, the largest religious gathering on earth is taking place, where around 450 to 500 million people are expected to come. The government is leaving no stone unturned to make sure that sanitization becomes and remains a priority. I'm at Arel Ghat area and you can see behind me, you can see how clean this area is. Yesterday was Amrit Snan, the first Amrit Snan of Maha Kumbh 2025 on Makar Sankranti, where around 3.5 crore people took dip in the holy waters of Triveni Sangam. These are Ganga Seva Doots who have been deployed to make sure that the ghats and the area where the pilgrims and devotees are coming remains clean. Sanitation workers work 24 hours to make sure that the ghats and the area around the ghats remain clean. I have some workers with me. Let's talk to them.
यही है हमारा काम, जो कि मतलब झाड़ू वाड़ू लगाना, जो कचरा है वो उठा के डस्टबिन में डालना, यही सब करते हैं सर। वहाँ गंगा जी का भी घाट साफ करते हैं।
पानी से वो गंगा जी में फूल वूल जो बहाते हैं और कचरा वचड़ा जो करते हैं वो फड़वे से निकाल लेते हैं।
सुबह से आते हैं तो झाड़ू लगाते हैं वो गंगा जी के किनारे और यहाँ मैदान में सगले काम करा के बस अपना बस यही काम है
सर। यहाँ पे पूरी हमारी जिम्मेदारी साफ़ सफाई करने के लिए साफ़ सफाई करते हैं। यहाँ पे 24 घंटा काम करते हैं।
The sanitation workers play key role when it comes to the cleanliness in and around ghats. They say that they work 24 hours in shifts and make sure that people throw garbage only in dustbin. With camera person Rakesh Kumar, this is Siddharth Bharadwaj reporting for DD India in Prayagraj.
Still to come on this edition of DD India Live. US to remove Cuba's terrorism tag blacklist in exchange for release of political prisoners. US Security Advisor Jake Sullivan passes the baton to his Trump-appointed successor, Michael Waltz. And Mozambique President-elect Daniel Chapo is set to be inaugurated on Wednesday, just as main opposition leader vows to create unrest.
This week on Defense Dynamics, unravel the secrets behind India's revolutionary CATS warrior prototype. What are these CATS and how will they redefine the warfare? Why is making fighter jet engines still a monumental challenge? We analyze the hurdles. Can Donald Trump bring an end to Ukraine war after January 20th? A geopolitical analysis you can't miss. Updates on India-Maldives defense ties and the evolving dynamics of Afghan-India relations. This Wednesday at 8 p.m. IST only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I am Tanvi Taneja. There is a new hope to end the Israel-Hamas conflict. Reports are coming in that the ceasefire deal is in the final stages. The draft proposed shared with Israel and Hamas by Qatari mediators would see 33 children, women and older men, as well as sick and wounded hostages released during the first phase of an extended ceasefire. Our correspondent has the latest.
Qatar, Egypt and the United States have intensified efforts to broker a ceasefire to enable the release of hostages taken during Hamas's October 7, 2023 attack on Israel. More than 8 hours of talks in Doha had fueled optimism. Officials from mediators Qatar, Egypt and the United States, as well as Israel and Hamas, said an agreement for a truce in the besieged enclave and the release of hostages was closer than ever.
During the past months, there were underlying issues, major issues, between the two parties unresolved. These issues were resolved during the talks in the past couple of weeks, and therefore we have reached a point where the major issues that were preventing a deal from happening were addressed, and we have language pertaining to these issues that has been distributed between both parties.
US Secretary of State Antony, meanwhile, said that it is up to Hamas to seal a Gaza ceasefire, saying a final proposal is on the table.
Over the past several weeks, our intensive efforts have brought us to the brink of full and final agreement. On Sunday, the United States, Qatar and Egypt put forward a final proposal. The ball is now in Hamas's court. If Hamas accepts, the deal is ready to be concluded and implemented.
While Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Saar, during a visit to Rome, said that there was a true willingness from our side to reach an agreement.
I believe that if we will achieve this hostage deal, we will have a majority in the government that will support the agreement. So this is the simple answer. I know there is a true willingness from our side to reach an agreement.
US President Joe Biden and Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi also held discussions in Washington on Tuesday, with both the leaders emphasizing urgent need for a deal to be implemented and surging humanitarian aid in Gaza. Israel believes most of these hostages on the list are alive, but has not had confirmation from Hamas. The ceasefire deal has left families of the 98 hostages still in the enclave facing a mix of hope, apprehension, and in some cases anger as negotiators make a final push to seal an agreement.
I don't know what's his situation, so I try not to prepare, because what I'll prepare? To a funeral and to a celebration together, and that's all this time since October 7. Funerals and small celebration when hostages coming home and continuing to the next.
With all sides expressing optimism, the international community is watching closely. The potential for a truce offers a glimmer of hope amid the ongoing humanitarian crisis. As talks approach a critical juncture, the world awaits news on whether a truce can be achieved. Bureau Report, DD India.
South Korea's impeached President Yoon Suk-yeol was arrested on Wednesday, marking a historic moment in the nation's political crisis. But Yoon Suk-yeol is exercising his right to remain silent, investigators said on Wednesday, as the suspended leader was questioned over his abortive declaration of martial law. Yoon's arrest follows his refusal to appear at the Constitutional Court and the growing fallout from his failed martial law declaration last month.
South Korean authorities on Wednesday stormed President Yoon's heavily fortified residence, leading to his arrest. The operation saw police officers and investigators from the Corruption Investigation Office scaling walls and hiking up trails to reach the compound, their second attempt to arrest the impeached president. Yoon had been holed up in his hillside residence, guarded by a small army of security personnel behind barbed wire barriers. Yoon was arrested over his controversial martial law declaration in December, a move that escalated tensions across the nation. The declaration, which involved deploying soldiers and helicopters to parliament, triggered mass protests and calls for his impeachment. Yoon's decision to declare martial law was seen as a severe overreach, leading to the political instability that eventually resulted in his removal from office. Yoon's motorcade left his residence and arrived at the offices of the Corruption Investigation Office for questioning. However, impeached South Korean president, in a pre-recorded video message, said that he had decided to submit to questioning over his failed martial law bid to avert bloodshed, even though he believed the probe was illegal.
저는 오늘 이들이
When I saw them break into the security area using firefighting equipment today, I decided to respond to the CIO's investigation, despite it being an illegal investigation, to prevent unsavory bloodshed. However, that doesn't mean I am acknowledging the investigation of the CIO.
하지만 공수처 출석에 응하기로 했습니다.
Yoon is the first sitting president in South Korea's history to be arrested, a development that has seen shockwaves throughout the country. Following his arrest, he can be held up for up to 48 hours under the existing warrant. Investigators would need to apply for another warrant if they wish to extend his detention. Meanwhile, the Constitutional Court is deliberating on whether to uphold Yoon's impeachment. The next hearing is scheduled for January 16th, with the nation watching with bated breath if his removal from office will be finalized. Harshita Oberoy's report for DD India.
The Biden administration has notified Congress that it will remove Cuba from its list of state sponsors of terrorism as part of a prisoner release deal. The move will likely be overturned after the return to office of President-elect Donald Trump next week. He reinstated Cuba's terror designation in the final days of his first presidency in 2021, banning U.S. economic aid and arms exports to the country. Former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo designated Cuba as a state sponsor of terrorism in January 2021, just days before leaving office, saying at the time that Havana was providing support for acts of international terrorism. Cuba said on Tuesday that it would release 553 prisoners imprisoned for diverse crimes in response to the announcement. Cuba welcomed the move as a step in the right direction, but lamented that it was still under U.S. sanctions in place since 1962. The Catholic Church had been negotiating with the communist-run government over the release of the prisoners. Most of them were jailed following unprecedented island-wide protests in July 2021. Cuba has been one of just 4 nations designated as state sponsors of terrorism, along with North Korea, Iran and Syria. The Caribbean nation blames the U.S. blockade for its worst economic crisis in decades, marked by shortages of fuel, food, medicines and electricity. In the United States, the incoming Trump administration gets hold over the National Security Office. Jake Sullivan, National Security Advisor, symbolically passed the baton to his successor, Advisor-designate Michael Waltz. During a conversation at the United States Institute of Peace in Washington, Sullivan and Waltz discussed the challenges the United States will face in the months and years ahead. Balancing immediate crises with long-term strategy, the Biden administration is expecting to close out ceasefire and hostage deal, eyeing long-term strategic competition with China. Walz highlighted pressing domestic and international concerns, the southern border. He referred that the opening nature of it is just unacceptable.
The most immediate, aside from the natural disaster that we're dealing with, I think, is our southern border, and the open nature of it is just unacceptable. In my view, and I certainly think loud and clear in the President-elect's view. So you're going to see a lot of action to close the border, to go back to the policies that we believe were working, whether that's remain in Mexico or working with the Mexicans to fortify their southern border.
Mozambique is at the crossroads. The country has been roiled by political chaos since the October election, which led to widespread demonstrations and a deadly response by the police. Mozambique President-elect Daniel Chapo is set to be inaugurated on Wednesday. A national strike is being threatened more than 3 months since disputed elections. Chapo's biggest rival is Venancio Mondlane. Last week, he returned from self-imposed exile. He spent time in South Africa. Mondlane had fled the country after a torpedo was shot dead, one of around 300 people killed in unrest since the vote. His supporters claim to paralyze the country over the election that he says was stolen on the eve of his rival's swearing in. That's all for this edition of DD India Live. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and the world on our DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja. From all of us here in New Delhi, thank you for watching.